1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How long do the Southside highlights run?
The dribble, deep two, yes, dropped it to the corner.
Ooh, up 3. Good.
Step back through. That's a good shot for 3.
Stepping through off the window, good. Stepping through the raindrops and the finish on the right hand.
And Edmonds going the Boomers' way with back-to-back threes. The Boomers, a WNBL chance.
Compliments of the festive season to you as round 8 of the Cygnett WNBL continues with a Wednesday night clash between the Mercurial Lightning and a team keen to bounce back from their first loss of the season. The Bendigo Spirit flew out of the blocks to be a perfect 7-0, a winning streak that came to a screeching halt with a stunning 29-point loss to the Southside Flyers last Friday night in Kelsey Griffith's 200th game. Now they must get back on track against a dangerous Adelaide lineup, well capable of stretching any team in the league, including the Spirit, who they pushed all the way just 18 days ago. Can Steph Talbot lead the Lightning out of the 3-game losing streak? It's unpredictable. It's round 8 WNBL action. It's the Lightning and the Spirit at 36ers Arena in Adelaide. Good evening, everyone. Hope you've had a fantastic week as we welcome you into our ESPN WNBL Game of the Week. Jason Bennett alongside 2006 World Champion Jenny Screen. And Screening, I mentioned this one's unpredictable, completely unpredictable. Bendigo in the shock of the season last week. Adelaide in the game of the season last week. Big gap between their best and their worst. And the Jekyll and Hyde of the competition. We don't know what to expect tonight.
I hope it's a contest. Both teams have been playing exceptionally well since the start of this season. Adelaide, they need to win tonight to stay in touch with the top four. Bendigo, well, they had a little bit of adjustment. You know, 7-0 was a great start, but now they get to reflect and hopefully put their best foot forward.
This is the second game of our Wednesday night doubleheader. The other game just finished at State Basketball Centre. It was the Southside Flyers taking on the Canberra Caps to open round 8. The Flyers celebrating Sarah Blitzarv's 250th game. They celebrated in style, Screeny, a 22-point win. Sarah finishing with 14 points, Thornton 13, Maddie Roche 11 points, 10 rebounds. They shared the load once again. Swain had 22 for the Caps and Munga 15.
They did exceptionally well. I think the Southside Flyers are just showing what they're capable of coming towards the pointy end of this season. They had that big win against Bendigo last round. And then obviously Lauren Jackson was an impact as we've seen in the last couple of rounds. So it was nice to see for them to be able to share the load and come away with another win. Yeah,
LJ finished with 9 points in that one. Let's check out the league ladder. One game into round 8. There's been a change at the top as the reigning champs snatched top spot from the Spirit. Both teams now on 1 loss apiece, but Bendigo with a chance to join Melbourne at 8-1 this evening. Meanwhile, Adelaide need a couple of wins this week to keep in touch with the Fire and the Flyers, who currently round out the top 4 as the WNBL table threatens to split in 2. Let's welcome in the third member of our commentary team this evening as we head courtside and welcome in Megan Huswaite. Meg's a bit of roster movement at the moment for particularly the Adelaide side.
Good evening, guys. That is right. Wisdom teeth, the root of Kirsten Bell's problem. She is out tonight, and so is their other import, Jay Munro, who rolled her ankle in last week's overtime loss to Melbourne, but she will be on the plane tomorrow for another big game this weekend against Perth. And then for Bendigo, it hasn't been a Merry Christmas or a Happy Birthday today for Abigail Werung, who is in health and safety protocols, but watching her team and last year's team that she played for tonight. So I hope you feel better soon, Ab. And Tessa Levy will be out for the next couple of weeks with a calf injury, but it means that Izzy Boulace gets her first WNBL career start for the Lightning tonight. Can't wait for that here at Adelaide 36ers Arena.
Thanks, Megs. They might potentially have 3 debutants who get out there tonight. Rachel Hines, Jasmine Fijo and Molly Coleman all suited up and ready to go should they be called upon. Screening Adelaide, as I mentioned, the Jekyll and Hyde of the competition. At their best, they're as good as anyone. What are their keys to success tonight?
Look, going up against the Bendigo Spirit, it's got to be one and done, obviously, for them as well. And then, obviously, they want to make sure... We've obviously got the wrong keys up there, but for Adelaide Lightning, one and done. Disruption, steals per game, they're averaging 8.4. They've got to be up in the lanes against Bendigo, shut down the likes of KG and obviously the MVP reigning and Matt Maley. And then got to win the boards. The last game they met, they had 7-0 boards in the first quarter. That's something they need to continue through the likes of Steph Talbot as well. And then obviously for Bendigo, protect the rock. They had 21 turnovers and 23 points off those for the Southside Flyers. Need a great start as well, Jace. They are 13-23 against the Southside Flyers just before Christmas, and rebound and run. When the Flyers get out, when the Bendigo Spirit get out and run, they're beautiful to watch.
Here's a look at the Adelaide starting 5. The Lightning went on an incredible 29-9 run in the last 7 minutes of the opening term in that game against the Boomers. They led by 13 at the first break. They'd love to replicate that dynamic start tonight. Their offense hasn't been an issue. It's been the defensive end where they've been a little bit loose at times.
And I hope that they take what they did against the Melbourne Boomers last round into this game, because they were stellar in disruption defensively. And it's nice to see the 18-year-old Izzy Boulace going into the starting lineup. Bendigo Spirit, they're tough. Wilson's playing, I think, career form at the moment under Kennedy. Griffin didn't have a greatest game. She only had 7 shots. Give the girl the ball. She's averaging just over 17 points a game, but we've got a great one ahead of us, Jace.
Part 2 of our Wednesday night doubleheader. Mouth-watering contest, this one. Can Adelaide catch lightning in a bottle, or will the Bendigo Spirit dust themselves off and return to their best? Our Round 8 ESPN WNBL Game of the Week is underway at 36ers Arena in Adelaide. And it's Froley Chance to lay the first points of the game in. She does. Bendigo off to a fast start. Here's Lauren Mansfield. A couple of veterans going at it tonight. Kelly Wilson and Lauren Mansfield, two of the greats of the competition of the modern era. Here's Talbot. Tough shot. Rolls around, won't drop.
Tough shot, but the right start to shot for the Adelaide Lightning. Shot to take for the Adelaide Lightning. That nice little shuffle cut into a post action. Talbot needs to lead from the front for her girls tonight.
Maley gets to the rack, and she's on the board. So important for Adelaide to settle into the game here. One thing that Nat Hurst and her team have been working on is stopping opposition momentum. They've struggled when teams have got on a roll against them. They've been focusing a lot on that this week. Knowing that Bendigo will have their time, how do they slow them down when they do?
Well, you've got to actually get into the defensive transition for them. We know that Bendigo love to get out and run, so making sure you're tagging up early on the offensive rebound attempts and then just getting up in the lanes, force Bendigo Spirit to get to their second and third action and find other options rather than just the likes of Griffin.
Badish with the inbound. Borlays, their young gun, an exciting prospect she is for Australian basketball. Up against Ali Wilson here. Some heavy screens. Borlays will go herself. Rolls around and drops.
And what a nice little drop. Nice drags action there. We see a quick transition basket, and that's something that Adelaide Lightning need to really tidy up. Their D-trans. That was a beautiful offensive set there by the Adelaide Lightning. It was nice to see the Borlays had the ball in their hand. Obviously, her and Mansfield are going to share the point guard role, which will allow Mansfield to go to her strength as well, which is her three-point shooting this season.
Here's Maley hauling in a rebound. Virus has gone through the Bendigo camp. Maley and Griffin both have had it the last couple of weeks. Coach Kennedy Kerryama just getting over it. As Froling adds another two. Good start here for Bendigo. They're up by 6. Mansfield. Talbot pops a little pass over the top, looking for Brooke, who wasn't on the same page.
And this is going to be the hardest thing for the Lightning tonight. Without Munro, who had 16 and 7 in their first head-to-head matchup this season. She was big for them down low on the block. How are they going to stop and negate the likes of Froling and Griffin in the low block?
Maley against Badish. Wilson. It's Ali to Kelly. Froling again gets to the rack, keeps it alive. Griffin open, trouble. And just like that, Bendigo have flown out of the blocks and they lead by 9.
Well, it's a great way to respond for the Bendigo Spirit, considering their first quarter against the Southside Flyers in round 7. Beautiful stroke here from Kelsey Griffin. She's done it for over 200 games now in our WNBL here in Australia. She will be on point tonight, I have no doubt, as she would have been really disappointed with the output that she had against the Southside Flyers last round.
This timeout brought to you by CTM Sport. If you're considering travelling interstate with your team, consider CTM Sport. ctmsport.com.au. As Kennedy Kerryama, as I mentioned, he's just today told me that he's had his first solid meal since Christmas. He looked forward to his Christmas eating fest and was robbed of that by the virus. He was pretty crook the last few days, but he said he's feeling much better today.
Well, I'm pretty sure I ate a lot of people's fair share.
Yeah, I ate Kennedy's share. So he said their first test is how they respond tonight, Screeny, and then their second test is how they adjust to face the Flyers again just down the road.
And that'll be next week, which I'm really excited to see. It'll be another head-to-head contest. It's nice. It's good sometimes to lose because you get to reset. You can get comfortable when you win. You think everything's going good and don't need to make any adjustments. But it's good to see what the weak links are and little things that you might have to wrinkle a little bit to fix up. And, hey, this is what the game's about, is another opportunity to play.
Borlays against Wilson. Now Maley takes over. Talbot. Badish. They cough it up. Maley active in the lane. Gets involved. Now Griffin. Bendigo looking hungry early. They're looking dangerous. Wilson. Back to Kelsey. Out to Ali Wilson. Bendigo on song.
Put that one on the highlight reel in terms of ball movement, player movement, inside, outside. Great penetration there from the vet Griffin to hit Alex Wilson.
Ideal start for Bendigo. Exactly what Adelaide were trying to avoid. They were slow starters against the Boomers until they really found their range in the back half of the opening term. Went on a 29-9 run, and maybe Chelsea Brooke can get them going.
And she's one that hasn't had much opportunity this season. She's only averaging just over the 2 points. We've seen her have an impact. She's an Adelaide girl, had some great years up north in the NBL 1. We know she can shoot the rock from deep. She's a pick and pop type of 4-player. And she's got a great opportunity ahead of her with the likes of Bell and also Munro out tonight.
Megs was in the Adelaide huddle. What was Nat Hurst's message early on, Megs?
Well, she put it on her Adelaide Lightning players to talk about how their defence and communication was in the opening few minutes. She demanded better energy and effort, and they're going to need it after that bucket from Annalee Maley.
Good start there for Annalee Maley. Adelaide just looking a little flat right now. Need a spark, and Mansfield provide it. Doesn't finish wide open. Maley tidies up another, off to Griffin. Here's Kelly Wilson. Griffin back out to Maley. Working against her partner, Marina Whittle. And Bendigo will retain possession.
Whittle's won last week. She came off the bench for the Adelaide Lightning, and I think she did a great job, especially in the third and the fourth quarter here. She obviously knows this player very, very well. They played it 3-on-3 together as well for Australia.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Here's Whittle.
1, 2.
Off to Mansfield. Shoots over, Froling. Won't go. Here's Maley again. Been really busy earlier. 5th rebound already, but she turns it over on this occasion. Can Talbot get her team going? Off to Mansfield. Couple of the veterans combined. Bourlays puts it on the floor, gets to the rack and finishes.
Much needed bucket for Adelaide Lightning. Great poise. They forced the turnover through Steph Talbot in that nice little steal, and then Mansfield had the poise and the composure to find Bourlays, who just put it on the floor with some great athleticism and got to the rack.
So can Adelaide to stabilise here, get their feet underneath them again. Wilson pops, another 2 in. Mansfield knocked away. She'll retain possession.
Well, you can see Bendigo Spirit mean business tonight. They're up full court, they're up, they're in, they're pressuring Adelaide Lightning, who we know are undermanned tonight in their contest with both imports out.
So Lauren Mansfield likely to get more shots with an off-the-ball foul. That's the last thing Adelaide needed. Mansfield has to hand the ball back to the ref. I was about to say Lauren Mansfield likely to get more shots without Bell out there, and she has been shooting the 3 really well this season, Jenny, at 47%.
Oh, she's having a career best season, in my opinion. You know, 12 point, just a touch under 13 points a game, 5.4 assists as well. Could have been a little bit more selfish in that game against the Melbourne Boomers last week, especially in overtime. But great contest for her tonight against the likes of the vet Kelly Wilson.
Clean to Ali Wilson, went looking for McKay, and Bendigo will retain possession with 4 seconds on the shot clock. There's Meg McKay. Wilson to Griffin. Shot clock down to 1. Kelsey goes herself. And a good stop there for Adelaide. Brooks off to Talbot. Mansfield tries to get to the hoop. Adelaide will retain possession.
Laura Mansfield may not be finding the bottom of the net, but I'm loving the intent from her tonight to put the ball on the floor and find a way to the rack. Probably got the lesser of the call there from the referees. Let's see if they can play through Talbot here.
Foul called as Whittle goes to Talbot, shoots over Maley. Margin back to 9. McLean off to Maley. Griffin being guarded by Whittle. Maley pops it over to McKay. Good ball movement again. Wilson goes looking for McKay. Ricochets back out. Now he can gather. She'll reset. Shot clock down to 6. Will go herself from long range. Bounces off the front of the iron. So better here from Adelaide. Last few minutes, they have managed to stabilise the situation, Screeny.
They have, which is really good and probably promising for Coach Hurst. They've been struggling with, you know, reeling in momentum from other teams in the past couple of weeks. We saw it with a 15-point lead in round 7 against the Melbourne Boomers. So whilst they haven't had the greatest of starts in this first opening 5 minutes, it's been better in the last couple.
Bourlays receives from Cabillo, who's into the game. Whittle tries to post up against Wilson. Little back cut there from Talbot. Tough finish, and she makes it.
Tough indeed, especially spinning back to the middle of the bucket and using the backboard there, not to mention over the top of two long hands.
Okay, Maley, now Griffin. Works on Whittle, off the glass. Well done, Marina, did just enough. So Adelaide grinding their way back into this one. Cabillo, slight fumble. There's a foul on Cassidy McLean as we head courtside to Megs.
Kelly Wilson checking back into the game, and the message from coach Kennedy Kuriyama before she came back on was that Cassidy McLean is going to go to Izzy Borlase and look to do a bit of a job on her. And isn't that a feather in the cap of Borlase and the impact she's had so far in her debut WNBL season?
She's one to be watched. Works on Griffin and Wilson. Well done, Kelsey. Borlase gets it back. Cabillo, 4 seconds on the clock. Can she make something happen? Found some space where there was none. And it's a 5-point game.
It's nice to see Abby come off the bench and have that impact for Natty Hurst when obviously Lauren Mansfield needs a break. And her having the ability to play in that point guard spot gives Lauren Mansfield the opportunity to shift into 2 spot and be more of a playing and scoring type of guard.
Maley goes herself, but it won't go. Away comes Whittle. Does she push the pace? Needs some support. Lovely handles from Marina Whittle. In the end, she does extract the foul.
That was a great little crossover there as she pushed downhill here. Got once, got it twice, got it crossed over, and was able to find herself to the rack there against Megan McKay.
Such a tough competitor, Marina Whittle. Nat Hurst describes her as their team's bulldog. Big, strong, athletic. Just so tough.
And she's been one that's been starting a lot at the start of this season, and then obviously has been going to the bench. But it was nice to see her not be affected by that last game against the Boomers. She came in and was so impactful, and we know how good the Adelaide Lightning bench is. They average just a touch over 22 points per game off the bench do the Adelaide Lightning. It's nice to see another young one in Sam Simons enter the court now.
Some opportunities tonight for the youth of the Lightning. Wilson, speaking of youth. Kelly, forever young, turns 39 on New Year's Day.
She is forever young. She should be the slogan for the Energizer battery is for one, considering the age of her. Born on the 1st of the 1st. Good on your mum.
Yep. Holiday for your birthday every year. McLean, good work from Simons, did really well. It's been a great fight back from Adelaide. Talbot, here is Whittle. Loops around, can't finish. Maley whisks it away. Runs into Cabillo, who makes the steal but can't control it. Griffin will get it back. Mad scramble mid-court. They just get it into the front half. Just. It was touch and go. Kelly Wilson for some calm, some poise and composure. Finds an open Cassidy McLean. Won't drop. Over the back foul.
Well, just as an understatement, I think they got away with the backcourt violation there. But how good is the impact of Abby Cabillo off the bench just to be disruptive against the likes of Alec Wilson and not taking a backward step. Sorry, I should say Kelly Wilson and not taking a backward step.
You mentioned disruption being key for Adelaide tonight. Well, we've seen it. They've taken Bendigo out of their rhythm. Bendigo jumped out of the blocks and had their mojo. And Adelaide have turned this into a bit more of a grind. Got it back on their terms, turned into a scrap. The free-flowing Bendigo Spirit offense has suddenly dried up and McLean travels.
And that's all it takes. It's just a few stops on the defensive end, a few turnovers, and then some good looks on the offensive end, whether it be through dribble penetration and getting yourself to the foul line or some good open layups. And then we get back to having a nice little ball game here.
Cabillo off to Whittle. Been busy early. Talbot always busy. Here's Simons. Talbot gets good position under the hoops. Got to go against Maley. Draws a foul.
And Sam Simons playing a little bit out of position, having to play a little bit of a selfless role tonight, probably in playing that 4 spot, but she does have the ability to pass the ball, and she can pick and pop if she needs to be in that screening action, because we know that she can drain the 3. But nice to see Steph Talbot doing Steph Talbot things, and that's battling in the low block. She's got great size for the guard that she is. She's a bull. She's really strong, and in her last 2 games, she's been putting up the score. It's just over 17 points per game and 11 rebounds, if you don't mind.
21 for 26 from the stripe so far this season for Steph. She adds 2 there, and it's a 2-point game. Down to the final minute of the opening term. Wednesday night hoops on ESPN, our game of the week. It's the Lightning and the Spirit in Adelaide. Final minute opening term. Griffin, Ali Wilson works on Simons. Goes left, comes back to the right, off the front of the rim. And Talbot off to Cabillo. Does she steady? She'll try to go herself against Kelly Wilson. Can't make a drop. Mailing to Kelly, to Ali. Back to Kelly Wilson, takes on Cabillo. Gets to a spot she likes, and one. Nice veteran play from Kelly Wilson. Game number 418.
Abby Cabillo just a bit slow-footed there in her lateral movement, and Wilson just using her vet smarts against the junior. Last offensive set from Adelaide Lightning there. Probably could have pulled out. A 2-for-1 opportunity, obviously going into halftime with potentially the last shot, of the quarter. But they could have pulled it out and got a good set there to get some momentum back.
Mansfield off to Simons, as Jenny mentioned, talented 3-point shooter. And Wilson gives up a foul on Talbot. So Ali Wilson, who started her WNBL career with Adelaide in 2010, had a second stint with the Lightning in 2020. Mansfield with the final play of the term. 3-second differential between shot and game clock. Here's Talbot to Badish from baseline. Nicely worked. Wilson, chance to put up one late shot. She does not. Well, Adelaide went on a 9-point run early. They got out to a handy early lead before Adelaide fought back. Got back within 1 possession. It is quarter time. ESPN's WNBL Game of the Week. Bendigo and Adelaide.
Okay, hey, and we're going to continue to run the floor. When we're going our top flip actions, we just got to make sure that we're trying to get downhill. And it's the same with the corner flip actions. They can't be passive plays. I think now, regular first side, open second side, then actions. If we're going to go Utah, we're going to back now. Here we go.
Spirit on 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's go, ladies.
Quarter time at 36's Arena in Adelaide, and it was the Spirit getting out to a 12-point lead early in that opening term before the Lightning got on a 9-point run of their own. And at quarter time, it is Bendigo by just 3 points, 21-18 as we start the second term on ESPN's WNBL Game of the Week. Wednesday night hoops here on your home hoops. Jason Bennett alongside Jenny Screen. Mansfield off to Whittle. Up with Griffin. Pops it over the top. It was a beautifully weighted pass, but Talbot couldn't finish.
A little crossing screen action between Mansfield and Talbot is really good action because they don't want to switch that because they know the likes of Lauren Mens will be able to come out high and potentially go to work from the three-point line, but then they've got to also respect Talbot down low on the block.
Wilson flings it to Griffin, who gets to work, gets her own rebound. Tries to go a third time. Maylee's in there. She backs out, gets some space. Allie Wilson was busy in the opening term. Puts it on the floor, goes herself. And Allie's got 9 points.
That was a sloppy closeout there from Mansfield, and Alex Wilson just making her look a little bit slow there. But great first quarter output from her.
Simon shot too heavy. Wilson off to Maylee. So Bendigo looking for a fast start in this second term. These are the dangerous minutes here for Adelaide. And the Spirit get rolling. Wilson over the top. Froling back into the action. Left-handed finish. Changed her shooting hand from right to left due to wrist problems. Maylee. Wilson tries to feed it through. And just as Adelaide were forcing the turnover, they've given up a foul. That'll frustrate Coach Nat Hurst.
And what'll frustrate her even more is the 5 offensive rebounds in this opening half. 4 in the first term and a couple there as well for the Bendigo Spirit to open this second quarter. One and done has to be the focus for the Adelaide Lightning against the vets and the IQ of the Bendigo Spirit.
It's certainly been their focus of training over the last couple of weeks. Wilson getting hot.
Well, she knows her way around this court really well. Really familiar now with 12 points for the night.
Originally from Murray Bridge in South Australia. Allie Wilson started superbly. Simons. Mansfield, does she pull the trigger? He mentioned she's going 47% from three-point range. Instead, she wants to put it on the floor and Froling slaps it away. Dangerous time here again for Adelaide. Froling receives from Wilson. Works on Whittle. Won't drop. But once again, we've seen Adelaide just run a little flat screening. They came out in the opening term the same way. Bendigo sees the early initiative, and it feels like they're doing the same thing here.
Absolutely, and they've probably had some good shots down the offensive end that haven't found the bottom of the net, but they're actually not getting in for any offensive rebounds. Lauren Mansfield has to do a better job of keeping the ball alive in her penetration. She's coming off her feet and then having nowhere to go against the tall timber of the likes of Froling and Griffin when they come across the defender. And then when you're not in offensive rebounding positioning, then Bendigo Spirit are going to make you pay on O transition like they are at the moment.
Ashley Froling averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds a game this season. A great first year in Bendigo. So here is Mansfield off to Talbot. Margin slip back out to a dangerous 9 points here for Adelaide. They need some points. Mansfield, shot clock to 5. She puts it up herself. Talbot crashes in. But Wilson takes the crumb. She had Griffin and Allie Wilson. I think Kelsey was expecting it to go to Allie Wilson. Couldn't hang on. Lightning ball. Options are plenty here for Kelly.
Oh, absolutely. As we see a nice no-look pass there. 7th turnover, unfortunately, for the Bendigo Spirit to start this contest. Not something that Kennedy Kariyama would be happy with, but on that kind of play, you'd be happy with the intent and push there from his Bendigo Spirit girls.
Put pressure up the court again here from Bendigo. They work it out for Brooke and Mansfield. Off to Simons. Talbot tries to cut through and provide an option. Now she ducks back towards the hoop. Triple coverage, knocks it away.
I know the emphasis is to go to Talbot, but they've also got to square up and look at the rim. Simon's just looking for the pass where she could have probably ripped through and had a nice baseline penetration because there was no one on the split line there. So I understand the intent and purpose to get it to Talbot, but everyone's got to be a threat at the same time.
Steph with the inbounds. Receives it back from Badish. Wants to take on Maley. Won't drop for Steph on this occasion, and Kelsey Griffin accelerates away. Has some options. Wilson, she holds up, could have pulled the trigger from three-point range herself. Kennedy Kerryama says she's the best shooter in their team. They'd want her to be more selfish, take more shots, and Ellie Wilson called there for the travel.
Adelaide Lightning need a good set here. Just a touch under 3 minutes gone in the second quarter, and they're yet to find the bottom of the net.
6-point run for Bendigo. Takes their three-point lead, makes it a 9-point advantage. Talbot. Now Mansfield, they need it. Rattles away. And Maley off to Kelly Wilson. Bendigo back in control right now. Game on their terms. Griffin can't get it to go either. Here's Maley's rebounding. Badish in good position off to Talbot. Now Mansfield. She'll go herself against Wilson and rolls it in. Nice touch from the veteran. Griffin back the other way. Off to Ellie Wilson. There's a foul on Brooke.
Gee, she's locked in tonight, isn't she? She's got that 11 points. Shooting at a prolific clip as well. It's nice to see her have this opportunity. We know she was without a contract last year, and it was only for the likes of Lani Mitchell falling pregnant, where she would have been playing in the WNBL. But she's taken the most of that opportunity and reinvigorated a career, if you will, in the WNBL, and has become an integral piece of Kerryama's Bendigo spirit.
Yeah, he said she's one of the most fun players he's ever coached. The system they're playing really suits her basketball IQ and a natural flair. Ball in dispute, wrapped up, jump ball. Alicia Froling guards it with her life. Ellie Wilson, twice as many points as anyone else on the court right now. She's got 12. Froling and Talbot 6 apiece as Kelsey Griffin takes a seat. Meg McKay back into the action. So with 6 minutes remaining in the opening half, the Spirit lead it by 8 points. They led by 12 early in the opening term before Adelaide fought their way back to a 3-point deficit at the first change, but it's been the Spirit making the early running in this second term. McKay can't get it to go the first time, but she draws a foul the second time around.
And while they may not be looking after the ball as well as they would like with those 8 turnovers, the Bendigo Spirit, they're making up for it with their offensive rebounding. 8 already in this opening half of basketball in the WNBL. Not good enough by the Adelaide Lightning, something where they'll have to tighten up for any chance to close this gap.
Okay, 9 for 13 from the line. Adds another. Here's Izzy Borlays, matched up against Wilson. Mansfield against Kelly Wilson. Slips the tag, gives it off to Brooke. Froling. Off to Kelly Wilson. Now to Ali. Hooks around again, looks for an option. Pops it back out to Maley. Shot clock now to single digits for Kelly Wilson. Will she set something up or go herself? She tries to feed McKay. Adelaide ball. Important stop there for the Lightning. Margin back out to a dangerous 10 points.
And that's the thing for the Adelaide Lightning. They're getting the stops, but they're not making them pay on the offensive end with good looks. They've had a couple, but hopefully some good ball movement here, some good screening action, and they find the bottom of the net.
They're averaging 84 points a game, so 21 points a quarter. So by this stage, they should be up into the early 30s. They're stuck on 20 right now. Mansfield to the corner. Can they get something going? Badish's shot won't drop. Talbot. Mansfield. Will she take on Froling? She will. Then flips it. Brooke. Receives it back. Pops a little shot over the top. Adelaide just can't find their offensive rhythm right now. Kelly Wilson. Maley to Froling. Ellie Wilson being pestered. And in the end, a foul's being called on Borlays.
and that's a tough thing. That sends the Adelaide Lightning into bonus now with just a touch over 4.5 minutes to go in this second quarter. That means every foul now, and obviously they're down by 10, so they want to up the defense in intensity, but every foul is going to send the Bendigo Spirit to the foul line, where they shoot a nice little clip, I think around, correct me if I'm wrong, around 72%, Jace.
The free throw line.
Am I wrong?
70% for Bendigo and 78 for Adelaide. Can't make them pay there. Here's Whittle. Got to start winning some boards here, Adelaide. They're getting absolutely slaughtered on the glass. Talbot. There's another example. Rebounds now 25 to 9. They get one there. A missed shot opens the door for Talbot. Can they turn it into some points? Bourlays goes herself and finishes with the left. They needed that. Margin back to 8.
Crafty finish there by the 18-year-old, and yes, you didn't hear me right. She is 18 years of age, and it doesn't look out of place there at all, except for that foul where she didn't box out properly, and you've got to do a better job than that against the reigning MVP of the WNBL, Adelaide. We know it's on the scout with her. Box out.
13 rebounds already for Adelaide alone.
And she averages 10.6 per game, so she's already smashing that.
So she's got 13, and Adelaide as a team have 10. Nat Hurst would be filthy about that screening. She's been talking about it for 2 weeks straight since that big Melbourne loss. That was one of their critical focuses. She said she's taken it back old school at training. If they run a drill, if there's 2 O-boards in a row, everyone has to run the court, has to run laps.
On the defensive end, earlier ball pickup. Last time we just get a late switch, we give up an easy lap. So we eliminate the easy stuff, and we're pretty good otherwise. Now, after these 2 here, 2 foul shots, we're going to go 52 off. 52 off, okay, for this one possession only. So we'll get Megs in the middle with KG, Males, Ellie, and Cal playing the top of that zone there. Hey, the next play after that, can we go back to a wicked curl? A wicked curl.
Let's go here. Spirit on 3. 1, 2, 3.
That timeout brought to you by Cygnett. Stay connected with the latest WNBL news and social highlights with Cygnett's extensive range of charging products and accessories at Cygnett.com. Margin back to 8 points.
Jace, when you look at the stat sheet, Bendigo are pretty much capitalising every category except of those turnovers, and that's where they've got to tidy up. If Adelaide, like you said, the rebound count is pretty horrific for them, and no doubt that was spoken about at the timeout.
26-11 is the count. Megs was in the Adelaide huddle. Megs.
No surprise, the message was defense, 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 and Nat Hurst wants to see a vastly improved effort on defense, and particularly crashing the boards, and they're going to look to that woman, the captain, Steph Talbot, to try and give them a lift in the last 3.5 minutes of this first half.
And effort's the key word, Megs, isn't it? So much of what Adelaide need just comes from busting your gut to get to the right spots. And Steph delivers a 3, and once again they manage to hang in. Playing far from their best right now, but to only trail by 5. It has been one of the strengths of the Lightning this season. They've been able to hang in games. We saw them do it against the Boomers when things were going against them. Managed to stick around and show some resilience. McKay decides to go herself. Here's Talbot. Throws it wide for Badish. And suddenly Adelaide finding some range.
That's a way to come out of a timeout. Nat Hurst will be happy with that. 6 points on the run. They showed a 2-3 zone off that. McKay shot it from the elbow. She could knock that down, shot down, but they're now able to punish them in the open court with that beautiful 3.
Just like that, it's back to a 2-point game. 2:40 to play in the opening half. Maley, McKay responds. Cabillo, always going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, finds some space, can't finish, and once again, Maley comes up with another board. She's up to 15. McKay scraps, can't finish. Whittle, Cabillo. Here's Badish, same spot. Not the same result, unfortunately, for the Lightning. Kelly Wilson. McKay posting up. She'll go to Griffin instead. Now Maley. Back to Kelly Wilson. Shot clock to 10. Will Kelly go herself? She'll feed Kelsey Griffin. Big bucket from Kelsey.
And there you go. When you need a bucket, you find KG 23. She's having a stellar season, career form, if you don't mind. A touch over 17 points per game. And it was a nice job there from her teammate Kelly Wilson to find her there on that penetration.
Heavy contact off the ball. Maley hits the floor hard against Steph Talbot. An offensive foul called on the Adelaide skipper. Here's another look. Screening, your thoughts?
Oh, just a little bit of bumping the cutter, if you will. I mean, it was physical, but they're two very physical types of players. Could have gone either way there.
Kelly Wilson to Maley. She'll continue her battle with Talbot at the other end of the floor. Maley thought about the feed to Froling. Instead, she goes back out to Wilson. 4 left on the clock. She'll go herself. And there's Whittle pulling down a much-needed board. Will she go herself? She does and scores. So capable in the post, from mid-range, from long-range. Marita Whittle can find points out of just about every situation. Griffin against Whittle. Works her to the baseline. Now to Wilson. Offensive foul as Bourlays hits the floor.
And their momentum swingers, those type of plays, taking charges, getting stops as we see Bourlays close out. Probably 99% of the time isn't going to be called a charge, but when you're down by 5 heading into the halftime break, you'll take whatever the referees give you.
Final 43 seconds of the opening half. Adelaide hanging in. Mansfield receives back from Talbot. Gets to a spot she likes, but again it won't drop. Now Griffin to come back the other way for Bendigo. Ali Wilson leads the game with 12 points. Gives it off to Kelly Wilson. Back to Ali. It's past Badish. More bodies hit the floor. Froling has a couple of goes. Make it 3. Maley somehow comes up with it. And finishes. Well, 12 defensive rebounds for Adelaide. 11 offensive rebounds for Bendigo. Extraordinary.
Probably a few more, but they're just probably giving them to the team because the statisticians can't keep up with the amount of offensive rebounds they're getting. And that's the main reason why you find the Spirit up by 7 with 1.6 seconds to go is their relentlessness, their blue-collar work on the offensive glass.
Catch and shoot, Bourlays. Said she caught it in the front court, stepped into the back court to release it with 0.1 of a second left in the half, and Kennedy Kerryama calls a timeout. Barely time for a catch and shoot even.
There isn't. I think science will tell you it's 0.9 you have to get off a shot. This one's probably going to be an alley-oop play or a look for a lob at the rim. Maybe the likes of Maley, Wilson perhaps with her athleticism. Let's see what the coach can draw up on this one.
So it's a 0.3 second runoff to get a shot up for less than 0.3 of a cell. They've put some time back on the clock, so it's back up to 1 second. I was going to say for less than 0.3, it's a tip in or a dunk. They're the only options. So we're back to 1 second. So now there is time for a catch and shoot play.
Plenty of time if you're the Bendigo Spirit in terms of getting a good shot, good screening action, good movement. You know where the ball's going to likely end up. But for the Lightning, for me, it'd be all switching, switch to deny, and no fouling on any shooter. They're already in the bonus. They don't want to give away an easy one and send them to the foul line here.
So one last swing at points here for Bendigo in this first half. Averaging 81 points a game this season, Bendigo. So they're almost on par with that. Adelaide averaging 84, so they're significantly under right now. So here's the play. What have they come up with? Ali Wilson to Maley. Can't get it away as she runs into Talbot. So it's half-time at 36ers Arena in Adelaide. It was the Spirit up early in this game. They led by 12. Adelaide got it back to 3 points at quarter time. The Spirit then got out to a handy lead again in the second term. The Lightning hanging in, and at the major break, it's the Spirit 37, Lightning 30. Ali Wilson leads the game with 12 points, and here she is with Megs.
She sure does. Ali, how important was it to get back to that blue-collar Bendigo efforts after last week's loss against Southside?
Yeah, obviously we're really disappointed with how we came out against Southside and how that game finished up. So, yeah, we've had a cracker put up us after that game, and yeah, we're happy with the way we've started for sure.
Back on your former home court in your home state, tell me about the confidence Kennedy and this Bendigo team have instilled with you to play with great confidence and form this season.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to play in a team where your teammates and your coaching staff believe in you. So yeah, I love playing here in Adelaide as well. My friends and my family are here, so it's always special to come back here and play on home soil.
Great effort so far. Good luck in the second half.
Awesome. Thanks, Ali. Thanks.
It's the Spirit leading it by 7 points at the half. 36ers Arena in Adelaide. It's Wednesday night hoops on ESPN. Your WNBL game of the week. It is the Spirit 37, the Lightning 30. Looking at the same stats on both screens. Well, that's see, look at the second chance points, 13-4. There's the difference. It's the difference in the game.
This year, I'm just looking to enjoy my basketball and get back to what it is and why I play. And I think that it's been such an amazing roller coaster of a year for me.
And Maley fires for three and nails it from deep.
I've had some really incredible individual accomplishments. That's what I'm looking to get out of this year. You know, obviously winning is the main goal. I think my overarching theme of this year is just to like recenter and find my why.
The speed and the ability to rebound, as we see there.
I'm really excited to see what she's going to do on the international level.
And I define success, and when I really strip it back and I'm like, the success that I'm looking for the next few years is to get more people engaged with women's sport in Bendigo. And then furthering on that, the success is the connection we have with our teammates. Because, you know, winning a championship is amazing, but if you don't enjoy every step of the way and your day-to-day grind on the way there, that's, you know, that's a long journey that wasn't enjoyable for one day of success. It's like, that's something that's really special and really important to me, and I really hope to be a part of the Bendigo community for the foreseeable future, and I am signed on for another 3 years, and that's something I'm really hoping to, you know, help build a legacy. It actually will be the highlight of my career to play on the same team as Kelsey. She has been a role model of mine my entire playing career. The way that she plays with passion and tenacity is something I've tried to mimic in my game, and the fact that we get to be on the court at the same time is just such an incredible experience. This Spirit team is very different from any Spirit team that you've seen in the past. When you come and watch a Spirit game and you see us play, you're going to see that we play really fiercely, that we're extremely united, but most of all, we are the most competitive team in the league.
She's got a wonderful perspective on life, doesn't she, Adelaide Maley, just 24 years of age, and that largely comes from her journey screening, which is amazing. She was a prodigious talent, AIS at 15, but by 17 she was burnt out, the mental demons. She took 14 months away from basketball, walked away completely, fell back in love with it by playing in her local school team, and they won the national championship, went on, signed with Adelaide, went to college for a couple of years, came back as a bench player, got a starting role in Sydney, and then last season just exploded to levels we couldn't possibly have imagined.
And it was great, and she did that through the coach Tracy York, who just said to her, be yourself and do what you can do, and she's shown that. The thing that I like and take away from that is the maturity she shows at such a young age, and that she's committed to Bendigo, a country town that love their basketball and have done for a very long time, and it's nice to see that the calibre of her talent can be a home there in Bendigo, which is really nice.
What an elite player she is, an elite rebounder in particular. Tonight she's got 16 rebounds. Just to put that in perspective, Adelaide as a team have got 15. 16 at half time. Her personal best is 24, so she's well and truly on track. As we take a look at the first half highlights, Screeny, you mentioned the importance of the start tonight, and Bendigo got exactly what they were looking for.
Oh, they did. They came out of the block. It was 11-2 to start, but then Adelaide just hung around, and that's what pretty much the theme for them in this opening half is they just hung around. If they can tidy up their defensive transition, they need to tag up early on their own boards. But I was really happy with the likes of Cabillo, who came in off the bench. I thought Izzy Borlase was great for her 6 points, and also Whittle with those 5 as well. But then on the offensive end for Bendigo, their ball movement was pretty good. They've only got a 6 assists as a team, and that's something I think they need to clean up a little bit more. When the pressure gets on, they seem to go a little bit stagnant. They hold the ball, they try to go one-on-one a little bit too much. But when we see the stats, Jace, you already alluded to the 31 to 15 rebound count in favour of the Bendigo Spirit. No team is shooting at a prolific clip, but the one area the Bendigo Spirit have to tidy up is the 10 turnovers that they have. We know that they had 21 against the South Side in round 7, and I know that Kennedy will not be happy with that output.
Yeah, the rebounding differential plus 16. It's meant second chance points 13 to 4 in favour of Bendigo. So plus 9, the margin 7. That's essentially the difference between the two teams. We're going to take a quick break and be back at the 36ers Arena in Adelaide for the second half action. This is Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPN. Bendigo by 7 points over Adelaide at the half. The Lightning scrapping, yet to really find their rhythm. Megan Huswaite, you're in their camp at half-time.
I sure was. I spoke to Adelaide import Jacinta Munro, who said that aggression was the theme in the Lightning rooms at halftime. She reckons if Adelaide can bring 20 minutes of physicality, they can take this right to the end and get some reward after an overtime loss to Melbourne. She's frustrated to be sitting on the sidelines, missing tonight with a rolled ankle, but if she had have played, it would have hindered both her and the team. She's keen on getting herself right for a big road trip to Perth tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, Megs. If it wasn't such a quick turnaround, she probably would have played tonight, but they just don't want to take the risk with her, given they do have to jump on a plane tomorrow. And it's a great point that Jacinta and Meg made there, Screeny. When they turned up their energy, Adelaide, they were able to get Bendigo out of their rhythm. Now it's about Adelaide finding their mojo at the offensive end, which has actually been the end of the floor that they've been pretty good at all year.
Absolutely, and that comes off their defensive intent and getting those stops and being able to run off them and getting the ball to the right people at the right times. Mansfield didn't have the great first half that she probably would have liked. I think, you know, the likes of that overtime game last week really is still hindering her. She's been a bit sluggish. Perhaps they could play her in a bit more of spurts and give the ball to Ball A's a bit more in the point, and then Cabillo, I thought she was great in her minutes. And then obviously for Spirit, they've been pretty tight on the offensive end. They've just got to make sure they're a little bit more poised when Adelaide do up the ante. But boy, oh boy, I think for the Lightning, it's just focus on the rebounding and boxing out.
Well, quite extraordinary. It's plus 16 in rebounds, but they've actually ended up with the same amount of shots. So that tells you that they haven't protected the ball that well, Bendigo. You'd expect them to have a lot more shots with that rebound dominance. Talbot. The early shot won't drop for Brooke for the corner, but there's Steph in there to try and get an offensive rebound. Can't turn it into points. Maley, Kelly Wilson. Maley flashes through. Wilson can't find her, but she'll regain under some pressure now from Mansfield. Ali Wilson, 12 points in the first half, leads the game. Back to Kelly Wilson. Maley knocked away by Borlase.
And I like this matchup between Izzy Borlase and Annalise Maley. Borlase, yes, she's young, she's 18, but she's a strong body. And it'll be nice to see how she goes in this third quarter against the MVP of our league.
Griffin just waltzes to the basket and lays it in with a couple of seconds to spare. Bendigo back up by 9. Can Adelaide get away to a better start than they did in the first 2 quarters? They came a little bit sluggish out of the gates. Brooke, now Borlase. Works on Griffin. Confidence from the young lady. It rolls around. Kelly Wilson feeds Annalise, who finishes. 8 points for Annalise Maley.
And this is almost deja vu of what we saw of the first quarter. D-Trans from the Adelaide Lightning is not on at all. 4 quick points in succession for the Bendigo Spirit as we see Steph Talbot trying to put her team on her back and get herself to the rack. Gets a nice heavy bump there from Kelsey Griffin coming along, and you can see the sportsmanship in Griffin there saying, I hope you're okay, Steph. And she's not one that you want to get fired up at all, because we know how quickly Steph Talbot can pack on the points. But the Adelaide Lightning, yet again, that D-Trans not being able to crash the offensive glass, which ultimately means they're not set up in their defensive transition, and allows Bendigo Spirit to have that free-flying and flowing action on the offensive end.
Marching back to 9. Bendigo 12 offensive boards against Adelaide's 12 defensive boards in the first half. Just extraordinary. You never see parity. That never happens, Screen. It's usually like, well, 19-3 at the other end.
No, it isn't. And you just hope that that doesn't come back to bite Bendigo, especially with the turnovers they had. But Adelaide right now need to make something happen.
Talbot kicks it out. And they start to get rolling through Alabadish.
And we know that she can do that. She's been pretty good at that. She did that a couple of times in round 7.
Wilson, Griffin, Froling posts up. Got a matchup she liked against Mansfield and finishes.
And that's the thing, that they're actually doing well on the first contest, but they're not boxing out or being physical when the shot's going up. They're assuming that it's going to go down. And 9 times out of 10, Bendigo Spirit aren't shooting a good clip, but what are they doing? They're coming up with those offensive boards.
Mansfield now 1 for 9 tonight from the field. Griffin worked towards the baseline by Badish. Ball comes back to her. And Adelaide get the stop. So the Lightning have been able to hang around all night. Bendigo have led it exclusively. Every time they've threatened to get out into double digits, Adelaide have hauled them back in, but haven't been able to get in front themselves. Badish, Mansfield. Not a lot of movement on the offensive end at the moment for Adelaide. Mansfield, will she go herself against Wilson? Draws a foul. 4 seconds left on the shot clock.
You can see that she's frustrated. She's having to work, and that's what Kelly Wilson does. She makes you work. She's physical, and the rest may not call it those fouls because every single time up and down the floor, she will play with that level of physicality. Lauren Mansfield just did a good job there to weather that, protect the ball, and get herself to the foul line.
85% career free throw shooter in her 165 games. Started her career at the Adelaide Lightning, originally from North Adelaide. Spent 3 years with the Lightning, misses the second. Margin sits at 7. Wilson to Maley. Pops it over the top for Griffin. Against Badish. Back out to Adelaide. Now to Kelly Wilson, who pulls the trigger from long range. Here's Mansfield. Griffin on her shoulder. Bourlaise. Always happy to put it on the floor and make something happen. Good ball movement. Badish with the finish, not quite. Bourlaise scraps under the hoop, but Bendigo come up with it again. Griffin. Now Wilson. Maley. The find to Froling. She can't finish either. And Talbot off to Mansfield. Pops it over the top. Brooke. Wilson did enough to knock it free. Maley to Kelly. Ellie set up in one corner, Griffin the other. Which way will she go? She goes to Kelsey. Froling works to the baseline. Back to Griffin. Well done, Badish. Stuck to the task, tries to nudge her out of bounds. Wilson, Froling, 2 seconds. Ali jacks up a prayer, almost makes the prayer. Guess who comes up with the rebound? Maley.
She is the prayer. She is the reason why Bendigo Spirit have this lead right now. She is just relentless on the offensive glass. Bendigo had to find a way to put up some kind of shot because Adelaide did a great job, and they have done in the last couple of sets on the defensive end. Haven't been able to make it work on the offensive end, but when you need something to work out of nothing, you got to find that girl on screen doing things.
18 rebounds for Annalie Maley, chasing her personal best of 24. Adelaide tonight without their 196cm import, Jacinta Munro. Usually would be their rim protector and crash the boards for them. Just got to find a way here. As Nat Hurst said, it's about effort. They need that effort. And then the rest will come. Whittle, so clever as always. Nat made the point, the offense will take care of itself if they can get their defense working screening.
Absolutely, and I love that the intent that Marina Whittle showed then. She put on the Jets there from the back court. I'd love to see Lauren Mansfield push the ball a little bit more on offense, but Marina Whittle, she has that ability. She's a bit of an undersized kind of 4-3 player, if you will, utility type. Jace, you spoke about her in the opening half, about what she brings to this Adelaide Lightning team, and that's what she can do. She's got the size and the strength of a 4, but the skill of a guard, and she's been integral for them in every single game that she's played this season.
Kelly Wilson, Maley pops it over the top. Froling. Badish sticks to the task, but Froling, in fact it's Meg McKay, gets it to go.
Nice little poise and control there by McKay. Great footwork from the big player. I've got great raps on her. She's one of the biggest players in our league. She's strong, robust. She's the old school type of big, if you will. And she just does the little things and she does them well.
Badish went looking for Talbot, but the pass went behind. Maley against Badish. Alice strong in the body, strong enough to hold her out. Griffin. Kelly Wilson calls for McKay to come at her. Gets the screen on Mansfield, pops it back. Lovely pick and roll. No finish. And Badish comes up with it.
Badish was huge in that defensive set there. She was able to defend early on, then made the rotation against McKay, and then came up with the O-glass. And that shot might be Steph Talbot's in the stat category, but that's Badish's play on defensive end that came up with that one.
Once again, they hang in. Margin back to 7. Griffin. Is it Kelsey time? Feeds it through to McKay. So clever. So can the Adelaide crowd get involved? Talbot. Mansfield looks for an option. Whittle was posting up. Now comes to lay the screen. Mansfield wraps around, kicks it out. We've seen Badish from the corner already. That's a spot.
11 points for Badish, well up on her season averages, both in points and in minutes played, obviously with Bell and Munro out, but they've got to tidy up on the defensive end, both in trans and being able to guard their yard one-on-one.
Talbot, ball lays, brilliant. Lovely combination from the youngster and the veteran. Margin at 6. Suddenly the tempo in this game has just lifted a notch. Travel on Kelsey Griffin. For a game that sort of felt like it was stuttering along a little bit in this third term, that last minute suddenly went up a couple of gears.
Well, it did, and they've actually had some good defensive passages of play in this third quarter, the Adelaide Lightning. They just haven't been able to reward themselves on the offensive end. Cubillo checks in now. She was pretty good in her minutes in that opening half. She gives Mansfield a rest. Let's see what she can do in her minutes here.
And can add a little bit of speed. Abby Cubillo. Whittle against Griffin. Here comes Talbot. Back to Cubillo. She's going to have to put up the shot. 3 seconds left. Tries to feed it through. Will Whittle have time to finish? No, sir. Marina trying to make it happen. So a 6-point game. 3:33 left in the third term. 15 points to Adelaide this term. 14 to the Spirit. So the Lightning have reduced a deficit from 7 points to 6 with 3.5 to play. Wilson and Maley. Adelaide looking for an option. It's McKay. Now to Kelly Wilson. McKay puts a screen on Cubillo. Illegal. Moving screen. Offensive foul. Adelaide ball. Big 3 minutes here, Screeny.
Huge. You know, without saying the cliche, it's pretty obvious sometimes that games are won in the third quarter or championships are won in the third quarter. And this is big for the Lightning. Similar to their game against the Boomers last week, they were down, potentially out, and they just found a way, and it was through the likes of the Whittle there, potentially just a little bit of more composure there, get a good look, just trying to reel in this deficit a little bit more in this third quarter.
That's why these minutes are just so important. Bendigo will be hoping to try and put a gap back in the Adelaide Lightning here at three-quarter time. Kelly Wilson trying to weave her magic. Here's Froling from long range, off the glass. McKay has it stolen out of her hands, well played. Here's Cubillo. Talbot. Whittle looks to post up against Annalee Maley. Steph will go herself. It's short. Froling. Kelly Wilson. McLean over the top. Went looking for McKay. Brooke was there. Foul was called.
And that's
Meg will go to the line.
And that's someone you don't want to get caught behind is Megan McKay. That's something she does well. She runs the floor and she knows how to seal and use her body. That is her advantage in this game of WNBL. And Brooke just got caught behind her and McKay's been able to get herself to the line. And again, down on the offensive end, Jace, Adelaide Lightning have taken 2, what I would say aren't great shots.
11 of 15 from the line this season, Megan McKay. As once again, the Spirit just look to settle and just keep Adelaide at arm's length. Here comes Talbot, off to Cubillo. Can Adelaide eat into this lead in a meaningful way, or can Bendigo extend it back out to double digits? Cubillo, as always, looking for an option. Talbot was wide open, she didn't see her, went herself. And draws a foul on McLean, who gets up with a puzzled look on her face.
McLean, a Newcastle girl, pretty good at the defensive end, just getting caught out in that crossover by Cubillo. She's lucky she's gone the foul line. She just missed Steph Talbot there on the 3, but hey, it's actually a great foul as well. Even though she's getting to the line for herself for 2 shots, it also sends Bendigo Spirit into bonus. So hopefully every look down the court for the Lightning in this, what's left of this third quarter, they're going to get themselves to the foul line and hopefully reduce this margin a little bit more.
She always plays with such speed and real dynamic type, Abby Cubillo. Always get the feeling that the game's fast-forwarding through her head. And sometimes as a guard screener, you'd know as well as anyone, sometimes the art of it is just to slow it down.
Yeah, take a breath. And sometimes she'll learn that the more opportunity she has. She sat a lot on the bench with the UC Caps over the years. But Nat Hirsch, she's a great leader for her and a great coach to have, considering they both played the same position in the point guard.
Tough shot for Maley. Comes up short. Here's Talbot. Whittle. Big three coming up. Won't go. And Maley will give it off to Kelly Wilson. As Bendigo keep chipping away. Froling with the finish.
And that's tough. When you're not taking the right shots down on the offensive end there like Whittle did, it just means that Bendigo have the opportunity to make you pay on their offensive set, and they did there in that transition.
Whittle finishes this time. The assist from Brooke Basham. Margin sits at 5. Here's Kelly. Dancing feet as always. Kelsey's wide open in the corner. Can't get it to go. And here comes Cabillo again, scurrying away, looking for options. Whittle's one. Basham's another. She goes to Basham. Feeds it inside now to Marina. Kicks it back to the corner. Bendigo will come up with it through Griffin. Final minute, third term. 5-point margin off the ball whistle.
And I wish that we could go back and rewind that last play from Adelaide Lightning. Good ball movement. They got it in and had a good look at a three-point shot there. But what they didn't have is anyone on the offensive glass, as we see Marina Whittle doing Whittle things. Nice little two-player movement there to create that shot. But then they've also got to crash the boards and set themselves up as a D-trans.
There's an uncontested board there for Bendigo as Griffin gives it off to Wilson. Froling trying to get into position against Badish. Now Ali Wilson against Basham. Basham does enough. Bendigo retain possession. Good hard defence there from Brooke Basham.
That was a physical one-on-one contest there. Basham probably lucky not to get called for the foul as she just dropped that right hand of hers.
Basham by name and nature. Here's Wilson. Froling. And we'll go to the line to shoot 2. Adelaide trying to ramp up that defensive intensity through the likes of Brooke Basham and Ella Badish. Sam Simons is out there at the moment. We know how physical Marina Whittle is. Here's Brooke Basham, 25-year-old from Victor Harbour.
I've been really impressed with Badish. I think she's really relished the opportunity in the absence of Bell and Munro. She's been really physical down in the low block. Just unfortunate there. She got cross-footed there with Alicia Froling fronting up to the bucket and putting it to the floor. A big play here for the Lightning.
40 seconds remaining in the third. 6-point game. Cabillo, here's Basham. She go herself, kicks it out. Simons, Brooke, Cabillo against Froling. She draws a foul.
Be forgiving if you didn't know who she was. It looks a little bit Angela Marino-esque. We know that she had a great career in the WNBL with Adelaide Lightning. Her father was an owner, but there's very much similarities, especially in that hair and the size of the player, the way that they can put the ball on the floor as well. And Angela Marino, we know she was a prolific three-point shooter in her time.
Abby, the 23-year-old from Darwin, started out with the Tracy Village Jets, 4 years at the Caps, and now to Adelaide, first Northern Territory player in the WNBL. 4-point game. 5-second differential between shot and game clock to finish this third term. Wilson brings it down the floor, pops it over the top for Maley. She'll work on Simons. Gets the finish. So one last look here for Adelaide. Can they come up with some points? They trailed by 7 at the half. Cabillo holds it up. Wants to go herself, but loses the handle. Time here for Maley. Puts up a prayer. Almost makes it too. And at three-quarter time, the Lightning win the term by 1 point, but trail by 6 as we turn for home. It's the Spirit 57, the Lightning 51 on Wednesday night. WNBL here on ESPN. Three-quarter time in Adelaide. It was Bendigo by 3 points at quarter time, 7 at the half and 6 at three-quarter time. The Spirit 57, Adelaide 51. It's been a hard-fought affair. There's Maley and Talbot, two of the main protagonists as we head courtside to Megs.
Well, Adelaide have lost 5 games by 9 points or less this season. And Nat Hurst was very adamant that they are ready for a fast finish and Bendigo know that it's coming. She asked her players to put their foot down in this first 5 minutes. Sammy Simons in football ace to start this final term.
Quick start again here from the Spirit. They score first, get back out to an 8-point lead, and here comes Wilson. Chance to add some more. Maley all fired up, takes it to the rack.
And anyone watching at home right now, watch the work rate of Annalise Maley. She just had obviously the shot down the other end. Griffin, her teammate, came with the offensive board, but she got that D board and she sprinted the floor like no other and rewarded herself with that 2 points for her team.
Talbot to the corner. Mansfield just cannot get them to go tonight. She's 1 for 10. Maley. Kelly Wilson directs traffic. Back to Annalise. Working on Mansfield. She'll like that matchup. Doesn't get the finish. It bounces around, Froling, and once again they come up with the O board.
And again, through the likes of Maley, obviously her teammate had a hand to it too, but I don't know if she has this connection with Spalding and they've put a magnet in her and she has a magnet in her, because every time there's an opportunity for an errant or a loose rebound, Maley just seems to come up with it.
She reads it so well, doesn't she, in the air. Wilson. Great first half from Ali, had 12 points. That's her first points for the second half. And again, just like that, it's out to a 13-point lead. And another error there from Adelaide.
So disappointing, considering they were just down by 6 and hanging around, considering they're not playing great basketball. But again, some offensive rebounds to the Bendigo Spirit and a couple of turnovers isn't going to get you close to winning this one in the fourth.
Wilson, Froling. Back to Kelly and now Maley. 3 seconds left on the clock, so she puts it up herself, and why not? Having a night is Annalise Maley.
And we know that's one area of her game that she's added to what her skill set is. We know that she can put it on the floor. We know how great a rebounder she is, but the ability to add that 3-ball to her game just makes her so much harder to defend.
17 points, 20 rebounds for Annalise Maley. Yes, 20 rebounds. This time out brought to you by DIY Blinds, Australian-made designer quality window furnishings at the best prices. DIYblinds.com.au. Here is Nat Hurst.
I want to go hand, all the way through hand. Then we need to get some early stuff. Kick a hand, drags. We go up wave, reverse, and we go down screens, half girls, and we come back and two games, right? Then let's get some away when we get the guard screen, we come off. Hey, they're coming with you guys, we're going to look at the pop on the guard. So they're coming with you, look at the pop on the guard, and then we can play the second side action, right? Hey, we fucking got to show some shit right now. Hey, we got to
The start of that from Nat Hurst was all about effort, and you can see the frustration on her face. The rebound count now 46 to 24. Second chance points off that, 21 to 4. 17-point differential. It's a 15-point game differential. That's the difference.
17-0 boards, Jace. That is a killer for the Adelaide Lightning. And half of that timeout was technical, which it should be, and about the offensive sets and their play. But most of it was just about a little thing called effort. And that isn't about skill, that is, or talent. That is just about how big is your heart and how much does it mean to you. And right now, it means more to Bendigo than it does to Adelaide.
Whittle. Talbot. Long two is good.
And that's exactly what she wanted on the offensive end. She wanted an early pick and roll and then some away screening action. And she got her star, Steph Talbot, open there on that screen.
And Adelaide come again. They'll get an opportunity. And each of the quarters have been played out almost exactly the same way screening. Bendigo get the early jump, then Adelaide stabilise and steadily grind their way back. But playing that way, you never actually get in front. It's a tiring way to play catch-up all night. They've got to do it again now.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you're not making them pay on the offensive end and finding the bottom of the net. Defensively, Adelaide have done some good things, but they've also not done some great things offensively, which really hurts, and that's an example there.
Simons turns it over. Good work from Wilson. Stuck to the task. Forced the turnover and gives it off to Kelly. Bendigo happy to slow the tempo on offense. They've got the scoreboard on their side. Froling goes right, works left. Good job there from Brooke. Here comes Whittle. Will she take on Wilson? Well done, Froling. Strips her, gives it to Maylee. Adelaide, will she set up or go herself? She'll go herself against Brooke. And she'll draw a foul as we head courtside to Megs.
Well, they're lucky ducks, Bendigo, because they've effectively got three coaches in Kennedy, Kelsey and Callie Wilson. And the message was shared by the three of them in that last time out. But the message was definitely better communication, which has been a constant theme throughout this game.
Thanks, Megs. Kennedy Kerryama saying that after that 29-point blowout loss, the real shock of the season, said it hasn't affected their confidence screening. They are very confident in their system. They're very mature. They've got great leadership. It's just a hurdle, but it also highlighted a few things to work on. As we've seen tonight, they've come out and worked on those. Hasn't been the perfect performance by any means from Bendigo, but they needed a scrap. They've got one, and at the moment, they sit on a 14-point lead.
What's nice is, considering they had 10 turnovers at the half, they've only got 14 in this last quarter. And what's even better is you don't want to go through a whole season and get to finals and lose your first game. You'd rather lose one around the middle, make some adjustments, see where you can get better, and then continue on your merry way.
Borlase can't finish the first time. She draws a foul the second time. Can't sing the praises of Izzy Borlase enough. 18-year-old from Adelaide, Forestville Eagles.
Great pedigree. Her mum played for Australia and obviously the Diamonds in netball. Was one of my favourite players when I was growing up. And then her dad was a footballer as well. She's definitely going to be a talent, potentially a star of the future, and be nice to see the tag team of her and Steph Talbot for many years to come in the Adelaide Lightning uniform.
Now her suggesting that her Opals timeline is potentially in the next 2 years. Here's Kelly Wilson. Runs into some traffic, loses the handle, and Adelaide will get it back.
And that's what Adelaide have to do right now. They've got to make some changes. They've got to make some runs. They've got to gamble a little bit. They've got to get up the floor, and they've been able to do that. They've been able to get the stops and create the turnovers, but they haven't been able to get some great execution on the offensive end.
Here's an opening for Izzy Borlase. It's short. And crashing in again is Maylee. 22nd rebound. Foul called. So margin sits at 13. Still plenty of time for Adelaide. They are capable of pouring on points in a hurry. They have to get hot at the offensive end and then really tighten things up at the defensive end and not give Bendigo so much possession. But we've seen their resilience. We saw it last week against the Boomers, where on a couple of occasions they looked to be in trouble. Somehow fought their way out of it. In the end, they went down in overtime. One of the best games we've seen in a very long time in the WNBL. Mansfield. Brooke. Just looking for that big bucket right now, Adelaide, and it's not dropping for them. Maylee. Kelly Wilson put some speed on the ball. Griffin thought about going herself, but no hurry at all here for Bendigo. They're in control, and their veterans can make the right decisions.
That was beautiful connection, the three-way action. This pick and roll action happened with Froling and Wilson, Kelly coming off that, and the rise out of the corner from the vet, KG 23, and the dive from Froling allowed KG to be open and knock it down.
Steph Talbot knew that was good from the moment it left her fingertips.
She's been gallant tonight. 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, stuff in the stat sheet. She just needs some help, which she hasn't found from a lot of her teammates tonight.
Griffin versus Whittle. Kelsey draws the foul. So Kelsey Griffin, 10 points tonight. Maylee leading the way with 17 points, 22 rebounds, just 2 shy of her personal best of 24. Allie Wilson's got 15, 10 to Froling. As you mentioned, Kelsey Griffin now 13 points. So they've shared the load. 4 of their 5 starters in double figures, and Kelly Wilson, as always, the selfless facilitator. So here's Mansfield, off to Whittle. Borlase back to Marina. Nice find. Beautifully worked. And those sort of easy points have been hard to find tonight for the Lightning.
They have. And that was just a nice little back screen from point guard Lauren Mansfield to Boulay. She set it up well. Alex Wilson just got a little bit ball happy there and watching. And forced Coach Kennedy Kariyama to call a timeout just to stem the flow of potentially what could be a momentum swinger.
And this timeout brought to you by Aussie Hoops. Basketball Australia's program for kids aged 5 to 10. 42,000 kids got involved this year, had an absolute ball. So whether your little one's just wanting to start out, register at AussieHoops.basketball.
Regular weeks, let's put Brooke in some pick and rolls. Let's get you involved in the pick and roll. Nothing out of that, we're going to find Utah quick, then we find space. Okay? Defensively, let's get early ball pickups. There's nothing easy in transition. Make sure we communicate in the half. Make sure we have ball pressure. We stay down, no scout, no sloppy switches. Here we go.
So screening for Bendigo now with 5 minutes left on the clock and an 11-point lead. It's just about being clean and executed.
Absolutely. Look after the rock, get the ball through hands, get good looks at the rim, wind down the clock and push out that 24 seconds as much as you can. But don't forget to push. They're great in transition. We know that Adelaide Lightning haven't been great in D-trans all night, and Bendigo have been able to punish them.
Meanwhile, in the Adelaide huddle, Megan Huswaite.
That should work now.
The other one not working.
Come back to Megan in a moment. Wilson. Kelly to Ali. Back to Kelly. Back to Ellie. Two-man game at the moment. McKay gets involved and comes up with the points.
Great poise there by Wilson coming off that screen. That nice little shot fake and poise at the end of her dribble just created a miscommunication and potentially a double team there. And she was able to find McKay underneath the rim as we see Adelaide continuing the woes on the offensive end.
Lauren Mansfield just wearing one there. She's had a look of frustration and fatigue tonight, Lauren Mansfield. Something just doesn't look quite right about her. She's worked really hard, just hasn't been her night so far.
No, it hasn't. She's 1 of 10 on the stat sheet. Got 3 assists. She normally averages a touch over 5 per game. Just hasn't been her night. But you've got to credit the defense of Bendigo and especially the likes of Wilson and McLean. They just make you earn everything that you have to do on the court.
Brooke, will it go? Oh, it was in and it was out. It's kind of summed up Adelaide's night. And then Bendigo come up with it once it hits the floor. Kind of sums up the game in a nutshell right there. Adelaide couldn't get it to go. A shot that all but looked to be dropping twice. And then Bendigo get it when it's in dispute on the deck. They lead by 13. Just over 4 minutes to play in this one. Wednesday night hoops on ESPN and KO Sports. Kelly Wilson against Borlaise. Here's Griffin against Brooke. She'll shoot over the top of Chelsea. It's short. And Brooke will tidy it up. Off to Whittle. Now Talbot kicks it out for Mansfield. Is this the one that drops? Yes! She's stuck out at Lauren Mansfield, but she's had that pain expression on her face for a lot of the evening.
And that was a great push in transition, as I think we see Steph Talbot rolling her ankle there on that penetration, that right ankle of hers. You can see she's gotten up a little bit more ginger. She's a tough cookie and probably will walk it off, but it's just disappointing that they haven't pushed like we know they can in transition. It's been a bit of a grind game for them, and we know that the Spirit will make you play that type of game. But Steph Talbot still making things or trying to make things happen for her team.
Leads the game for Adelaide with 19 points, 9 rebounds, so just one short of a double-double. Griffin to Kelly Wilson, who's been in everything, as per usual. So selfless, sets up this team, real glue player for this lineup. Makes the plays around her better, and here's Maley again, somehow gets the board. How did she get that board? She was nowhere near the hoop. That ball went past 6 players to find its way into Annalie Maley's hands.
Because she has players like Megan McKay and Kelsey Griffin crashing the glass on the first shot. Considering Maley took that shot, which allows her, they keep the ball alive, which then gives Maley the opportunity to run in and pick up those type of rebounds.
physical screen there as ball lays came through. So margin sits at 10. And that was the early lead, really, for Bendigo. They got out to a 12-point lead in the first term, and Adelaide have been chasing ever since, and it's pretty much been an even contest since that time.
Well, this is a big bucket. There's still plenty of, juice left in this clock. They can get a good look here and reduce that deficit. Anything can happen.
I won't go for Mansfield, and once again, it's Bendigo come up with the board. Wilson. Rebound count up to 52 now for Bendigo. 29 for Adelaide. Wilson to Wilson. Deep three from Ali. It was hot early, helped set up the early lead. Borlase has to pull out. She's got triple coverage she was running into. Brooke. Now Mansfield. Whittle loses the handle. McKay gathers. Whittle pressures. McKay finds Wilson.
How was that from the 400-plus gamer, Kelly Wilson? Undersized there in the block, but not out-muscled in terms of heart against Whittle, and came up with that very valuable and important turnover.
Bendigo looking to close it out. Griffin can't get the shot to go. Guess who? Guess who? 24th rebound, equals her personal best, Annalee Maley. We've had Mark Quinn from the WNBL scouring the stats books to come up with the all-time record. I believe he's found a 25er. So Annalee Maley is right up there in very rarefied air right now.
But again, have a look at that. McKay, she's the one challenging there. Griffin's in there as well. There's 3 white players, and they're just making things happen. But Maley, that work rate of hers, that blue-collar work that we've come to know and see and flourish in the WNBL over the last couple of years, is on point tonight.
So 10-point margin, 2:18 left on the clock.
Well, Annalee's at the foul line. They can push this out to 12 here, but if either way, there's still a lot of time. They've got to get some quick looks, and they've got to get them early. Potentially, they'll come out of this timeout. They'll be up and in defensively as well, potentially in a full court kind of pressing action. They might play a little bit of zone as well, just to try something different against Bendigo. But when you look at the stats and everything about this game, apart from the 17 turnovers from the Bendigo Spirit, the scoreline shouldn't be 10. It should be about a 20, 25 plus margin for the Spirit.
The Spirit have put up 67 shots tonight to 60. So as you say, given the differential in rebounds, the extra possessions that they've had, which is plus 23, that's only turned into 7 extra shots. Remarkable.
Absolutely, and it's just been the effort things. Yep, you can have a poor shooting night, and that's what it's been for the Adelaide Lightning tonight. They normally average around 44.6% from the field in their opening part of the season. They're shooting at 35 tonight, and 29 from deep at 8 of 27. That's nothing to write home about.
Annalee Maley up to 19 points to go with her 24 rebounds. One more for her personal best, and to equal Emma Randall, who had 25 for Dandenong back in 2005.
It was Randy. Well, there you go. I thought it might have been Rachel Spawn, Susie Baktovic.
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I can remember that Debbie Slimman for the Boomers had 30-odd back in the 90s. Mark Quinn's looking for that number. He hasn't been able to find it, but certainly in the modern era, in this century, Emma Randall seems to hold the record at the moment with 25. Here's Cabillo. She's given them something tonight.
She has. She's coming in spurts, and the more time she gets will only help her in what she has to do. She's really good and brave in the backcourt. She's been quite good there. Offensively, she'll just get better and better as the season goes on.
Griffin to Wilson. The veterans have just been so good at once again this evening. Great article this week from Megan Huswack talking about the special relationship between Kelly Wilson and Kelsey Griffin. Chance to play together again here in Bendigo. There is Kelly, goes herself and finishes. And Kennedy implores her to take more shots, but she's just so damn unselfish.
She is. The good thing was against the Southside Flyers, she actually did take 12 shots and found herself being a threat more on the offensive end, especially when a lot of them weren't contributing in round 7. But that's what she doesn't need to do. That's not her thing. She'll take the shots when she needs to, but she's more a facilitator. She loves to organise a team. And when you've got the studs that she does in Griffin, Wilson, Maylee, she doesn't need to take that many shots, but you know she can.
Kelsey gets to the rack and draws a foul. Bendigo, really professional, calm, composed final term from them. Adelaide have been snapping at their heels for the first 3 quarters. And in this final term, no panic. They've just been able to start strongly, open up a big lead, and then sit on it. Not give Adelaide a chance to get back one more time.
And I think that would be the best thing for Kennedy coming out of this one is the good start. They didn't have a great one against the Southside Flyers. They've got 5 players in double figures. We've, you know, highlighted Wilson a lot. Maylee, obviously, definitely pushing for Player of the Week with 19 and 24 at the moment, with just a touch over a minute to go. And then Kelsey Griffin, you think she's had a quiet one, and then you look at her stat sheet, she's got a double-double, 13 rebounds and 10 assists as well.
And then Alicia Froling, who's just gone about her business tonight, 11 points, 9 rebounds. She's just 1 rebound away from a double-double as well. So they really have shared the load beautifully. And Kennedy made that point on their loss to Southside, is that they do like to do it by committee and share the load. They don't rely on one particular player to get hot. But what that does require is a good, consistent effort from everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that didn't happen last week against Southside, and they got pushed out a lot of their offenses, and they didn't shoot at a great clip. But tonight they've come out, they've addressed a few things. Obviously there's always things to get better at, but when you're finding the bottom of the net and it's consistently done by more than 1, 2 or 3 players, that's going to normally get you wins. And Adelaide Lightning, normally they average 5 players in double figures, and obviously 2 of them are missing in Bell and Munro, who are well in the teens for this season with the Adelaide Lightning, and that's a lot of points to make up. They've fought hard, the Lightning, but disappointing considering the game they showed against the Melbourne Boomers in that overtime loss last round.
Cabillo to Talbot. To the corner. Basham keeps it alive. Tough one for Talbot. They'll get it back, the fumble from Wilson. So yeah, you look at the Lightning and their average for the season, and on offense, they're averaging 78 points a game. If they were on song tonight with that, they'd be right in this contest to win it. So holding the Spirit to 77, not an awful performance defensively by any means, but just that they've just come up 15 points short.
They just haven't been able to reward themselves with the stops they've been able to come up with against Bendigo.
Final minute. Brooke. Talbot under the rack. Capillo can't finish. Griffin just comes in, muscles her way through. Extracts a foul in the process. So Kelsey Griffin, 200 games last week in that loss to the Flyers. She'll enjoy 201 a little bit more. What a player she's been, the 4-time champion, the 3-time grand final MVP, league MVP in 2019 as well, 2-time All-Star, defensive player of the year. Arguably the greatest import this league has ever seen. Of course, a nationalised Australian. Played for the Opals and thoroughly enjoyed her time in the green and gold. Margin sits at 14. Final 45 seconds. Talbot keeps working. Adds another 2. So their average losing margin to the top teams this year has been 9 points, and they're there and thereabouts once again as Cabillo draws an offensive foul. And Screening kind of sums up where their season's at, the Lightning. They're good enough to challenge the top teams, but haven't been able to beat them, with the exception of beating Southside once. And they've been that sort of 9, 10, 11, 12 points. And it's just those little things they've got to tidy up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of effort things. The offensive boards, they can tidy up. Protecting the ball a little bit better, they can tidy up. They've got the shooting power. They've got the ability. And obviously, there's a lot of new talent to this team this year. They've had a few disruptions with injuries and the like. And obviously, Talbot coming off the World Cup also means she'll be a little bit more fatigued. But they've got to find a way. There's plenty of more games left in this season. They may not be able to punch into that top 4, but they can definitely shape it.
The Spirit return to the winners list. Bendigo joined the Boomers at 8-1 and now have 8 days to prepare for their huge return bout against the Southside Flyers in Melbourne on January 6, while the Lightning are moving into must-win territory in their season. They'll head to Perth to try and snap their 4-game losing streak when they face the Lynx on Friday night. Full time at 36's Arena, Bendigo 78, Adelaide 66. So the Spirit led from start to finish. Most of the evening it was round about between 5 and 10 points. In the end, the final margin 12. But as we often say about Adelaide and their games, the game itself actually felt closer than a 12-point game. They just weren't quite as polished in their execution. In the end, it cost them the win.
Absolutely. It wasn't pretty at all, and it pretty much came down to the rebound count. I think one of the keys that I mentioned up the top was win the boards. And they definitely didn't do that tonight against the Bendigo Spirit, and everyone needs to be on notice with Annalise Maley after that loss against Southside last round. 90 no boards, and she had 9 of them.
19 points, 24 rebounds for Annalise Maley, tying her personal best, and here she is with Megs.
Well, Adelaide, 24 rebounds tonight. It's fitting that it's in Adelaide, where the queen of rebounds in this competition, Rachel Spawn, had the most ever in the WNBL and the most ever in a game, 27. So 3 off the record tonight. I reckon you can get that record this season.
Oh, I can only hope. Rachel Spawn is like an icon, a legend. I don't think I'll ever get that, but I mean, that's the goal, I guess.
You played like a legend tonight. How would you describe that team win, particularly after your first loss of the season last week?
Yeah, I think this was a really important game for us just because, you know, losing is a part of the game of basketball, but it was how that we bounced back, which was going to tell us where our culture's at, what we needed to work on, and I think, you know, we've been working really hard and learning from that loss. I mean, that wasn't the way that we wanted to play, and credit to Adelaide, they came out and they played a really hard game, and they pushed us in ways we needed to be pushed. But I'm really proud of our group and the way we stuck together. We're missing a couple players. Shout out, happy birthday, Abby Werong. I hope you're watching. She's stuck at home, but yeah, look, we're definitely just focusing on us and getting the most out of every game that we can do. So I'm really proud of the way we bounced back tonight, but it's just another game, and now on to the next. We get to play Southside again, so we've still got a lot to work on.
So done by committee again tonight by Bendigo, which of course is the theme this season. How fun is it playing in this Spirit side?
Oh my God, we have so many weapons. We really do, and it's anyone's night. Every night it's anyone's night, and Kelsey gave us this like a really good hype-up speech before the game where she said we all need to be great, and you know, that's an unselfish thing that we all, you know, we need to put our best foot forward for each other. And I think playing for us and the we, it takes a lot of pressure off individual performances, and that's what we're all trying to do, like work off the back of what Kelsey says, and she's been great, and that, yeah, really, like I said, anyone's night. We're a bunch of weapons, and it really is fun.
You are a bunch of weapons, and cheeky chops, they're being very naughty just to the side of you right now, led by Alicia Froling. Let's just finish with Alicia Froling. Incredible story, how she's changed hands. She's forced her way into your starters, and another great contributor in this Bendigo side.
I think people that have played basketball can understand this, but the ability to change to another hand and do it so well. She's hitting threes. We trust her shot from long range. It's like one of the hardest things in sport to do, and she's had her battles. We're all so proud of her, and what a story. Like, I encourage anyone to go read that. Really read that story on Frols, because it's bloody brilliant. It really is.
Oh, you're bloody brilliant too, Annalise Maley. Well done tonight. A great team win. And just finally, bragging rights over your partner, Marina Whittle from the Adelaide Lightning. 2 sets of partners tonight between Ali and Brooke, and you and Marina. So Bendigo take the win.
We love to see it. You know, I love being on the floor at the same time as my partner. It's really important for women's sport. It's important for us. It's important for the visibility of the LGBTQIA community. We can be on the court at the same time, and it's an inclusive environment, women's basketball. So,
it is.
Yeah.
Well done, Annalise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said, Annalise Maley. 5 players tonight in double figures, just to that point about doing it by committee. Maley had 19, 15 to Griffin, 15 to Wilson, 11 to Froling, and 11 to Meg McKay. Shared the load superbly, got themselves another win. They're 8-1 on the season. Here's their coach, Kennedy Kerryama.
Well, Kennedy, I bet that felt good after what was the first loss last week. Back to the blue-collared Bendigo way tonight.
Yeah, look, I certainly think that for us the test was coming back after a loss and how this group would recover post obviously a pretty big loss to a really well-drilled and well-played Southside team. So I think to come back to Adelaide tonight and get a really gritty win is really good for us.
Alicia Froling, you put up with her 12 months of the year. She's been very naughty behind us, but an incredible story. Just spoke to Annalee about it. I mean, you coached her at Knox where she changed hands. It must be so rewarding to see her now starting in your WNBL lineup.
Yeah, look, I think that with this group here, I mean, we have 8 players that could legitimately start in this team, and particularly for Alicia, I mean, she's put in a body of work with that left hand, and I mean, it takes an incredible amount of courage to make that decision, and obviously an incredible amount of skill. So to see her be rewarded for that effort is just great, and I think for anyone really, she's the only player that can take credit for that, because I think she's just really stuck to a pretty rigorous regime to make that work for her.
So it's great to have you back in the league as a head coach. You did a little bit of fill-in work last season at Canberra, but how fun is it coaching this Bendigo team, being involved in this Bendigo community?
I mean, look, first of all, it's a great community to be a part of, great town. I've really enjoyed my time there so far, and look forward to, obviously, spending as much time as I possibly can in town. And with this team, they're a great group to coach. I mean, just a wonderful group of human beings. They work incredibly hard. They make my job easy, and they make it a blessing every day to show up. And, it's a great privilege to be able to coach this team and this program.
Oh, I love hearing that. Now, just finally, you've been crook over the festive season, so glad to hear you are on the mend. Have you got your appetite back after a win like that? And if so, what's the meal or food you celebrate a win with now your appetite's back?
I think tonight is whatever I can find, but if someone out there wants to make me some Christmas dessert, trifle, and those things are all great. But yeah, probably just the 3 days off from fasting probably hasn't been too bad for me, to be honest.
What about chocolate ripple cake? That'd be good if you could get it at 9 o'clock in Adelaide on a Wednesday night.
I just don't think I'm going to find that here, unfortunately.
Whatever you do have, enjoy. Great win tonight. Thanks for your time, Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
One of the great people of Australian basketball, Kennedy Kerryama. Lovely man indeed. And his side sits at 8-1. They've bounced back in fine style, and you can tell they are already locked on their next opponent, the return bout with the Southside Flyers on January 6. Full time in Adelaide. Bendigo 78. Adelaide 66. Yeah, I looked at my watch at one point, it was 9 o'clock and there was 4 minutes left in the game. I'm like, ooh, luckily they took a little longer to play those 4 minutes.
Team fouls will help.
Yep. '27 in 1989. Yeah, well, we did say Emma Randall was in this century was 25, so we weren't completely wrong.